Welcome to Money, Manifestation, and Business, the podcast that shows you how to use your energy, intention, and consciousness to reprogram your money mindset, unleash a new level of possibility, and create a life and business that lights you up. I'm your host, Jamie Berman, and I invite you to join me each week for a dose of inspiration, coaching, and teachings to help you rewrite your money story, create abundance on your terms, and grow your business in a way that's fully aligned for you. This is going to be so much fun. Let's dive in. Hey friend, I'm so excited to dive into today's episode because it is a good one. But before I do, I wanted to tell you about something really exciting that's coming up this month, completely free, that I want to invite you into. I am hosting a money masterclass series on January 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. And I want to invite you to come to it because it's going to be an event where I'm going to teach you the things that will really move the needle forward for you around your money mindset and around manifesting more money in your business. It's going to be workshop style. I'm going to be doing so much teaching. I'm going to open the floor for questions, open the floor for coaching. It's an opportunity for you to really get some support around your money mindset so that you can make 2024 your year of abundance and you can have a breakthrough in your income this year. So all you have to do is go to the show notes to register. Like I said, it's completely free and it is going to be epic. So join me and I can't wait to see you there. Oh my gosh, I love this time of year. It's really the best, most potent time to really just manifest and set our year up and evaluate the last year and decide on purpose what it is we want to take from last year, what do we want to leave, what we want to step into. It's just a really good time to kind of reevaluate your life, reevaluate your business, reevaluate your relationship with money. And not that you can't do that any time of the year. By all means, you can always do it. And I tend to do it all throughout the year, but there's something real special about New Year's because everyone's doing it together collectively. And there's kind of this special vortex that I feel at the beginning of the year. So with that, I really wanted to bring you an episode that I think will be really helpful for you this year in terms of manifesting a new reality for yourself or shifting some things up in a way that just feels really aligned in a way that feels like you're heading where you really want to go. And the practice that I thought about was this practice of power thoughts and creating power thoughts that you will decide on and commit to for the year. This is something that I do every single new year, every single, at the beginning of the year, I always think about what are my power thoughts going to be this year that I'm going to commit to and decide that this gets to be my reality by the end of the year. And I'm not saying it's going to take you till the end of the year, because once you start practicing power thoughts, you start seeing the effect of it, and usually a lot faster than a year. But with anything, I love giving myself luxurious amounts of time. I never want any of this to ever feel pressure filled or like I have to do it fast or quickly. So I actually love giving myself long timelines. And I find that the more that I do that, that I end up manifesting things faster and it just feels way more calm and way more relaxed. So with power thoughts, I always say, okay, by the end of the year, I'm going to believe this. But most of the time, I start embodying these much faster. Okay, so what are power thoughts? Power thoughts are going to be thoughts or mantras that you commit to for the year. And what you can ask yourself is, what do I wish the reality was? What do I wish was real? And that can become your power thought that you begin practicing. Because here's the thing. what most of our brains do is we want to see evidence of our life. We want to look at life and say, what's real? What's here now? What do I have evidence of? And then we want to take that and decide what we believe based upon what's real now. But that is not how you create new things. That is not how you create a new reality. That's how you cycle and stay in the same pattern for years and years and years. And that's how you stay stuck. If you want to create a new reality, it always starts with your consciousness. It starts in thought first. Just like anything that's manifested in the world, we have to have an idea of it first, right? We have to get crystal clear on what we want. We have to decide that's what we're going for. We have to intend it and then commit to it. And then it becomes a thing, right? Thoughts are fast. They can come into consciousness really fast, and we can practice them over and over. And the more that we practice them, then they become and turn to form. They turn into our reality, right? So that's why I love the idea of picking the thoughts of what I want my reality to be and to practice those power thoughts like reps, right? Like I'm building muscle, like I'm going to the gym and I'm just doing reps over and over and over. That's how I think of power thoughts is I just need reps of them. The more I do it, the more repetitive I am, the sooner I'm going to actually believe it. I'm going to start embodying it, and then I'm going to see evidence of it in my life. And before I dive into this further, I actually want to give a shout out to Dakira, who is one of my awesome listeners who I had the opportunity to actually talk with one-on-one about a month ago. So I, as you all know, do from time to time, I do podcast coaching with my community, and I'll do one-on-one sessions and bring someone onto the podcast and basically just coach them. And so me and Dakira were doing a coaching session, and I was coaching her. Unfortunately, the audio got messed up, so we weren't able to use the episode. And I wrote her on Instagram about a month later, and I said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry we can't use this, but how have things been for you? And her response was so awesome. And her response is truly what inspired this episode. So here's what she said. I basically said, hey, how have things been? She says, things are way better. I actually manifested a new job with a $5,000 sign-on bonus, and I'm moving into my dream apartment next week. So my life has done a complete 180 since we talked. She says, I'm so grateful. I said, oh my God, I'm so happy to hear. And of course, I have to know what shifted, right? What internal shift allowed this to happen? So I'm always asking people that because I love to solidify that and understand, like, not only for myself, I love to hear, but also for all of us to to lock in, ooh, this is what worked for me. This is what I did that allowed a shift to happen. So here's what she says. She says, to be honest, I think using robotic affirmations just really helped me to rewire my brain. And I continued to put action towards it. And as I continued doing it, I started really believing what I was affirming and got more confident. And then, of course, as she started believing it, then all of a sudden the evidence started showing up in her life. And that's why I was like, I got to do an episode on this idea of these power thoughts and practicing mantras robotically so that we can rewire our brain and create that reality for ourselves. And I love, again, doing this at the beginning of the year because it's such a great time of reflection and thinking about what is it that I really want this year? And we can start that process of creating it in mind first, in thought first, right? So in this episode, I want to give you some ideas of some of my favorite power thoughts that I've used throughout the year. But I also want to talk about how you can practice them, right? So before I dive into some of my favorite power thoughts, I want to talk about like how we can actually use them. So number one, repetition, right? I like to think of it, like I said, like reps in a gym. Just thinking of the brain is a muscle. It actually is. Our brain is a muscle and it's malleable and it can be shifted and changed and molded in the way that we want. And what helps with that is repetition, right? When we're repeating our limiting beliefs over and over and over and over, we believe them more and more strongly. So we have to come up with new thoughts, new power thoughts that we are willing to strengthen our brain around, right? To dig new neural pathways in our brains that creates grooves where that just becomes our new norm. So reps are huge. And I know a lot of people say, oh, don't practice a mantra until you believe it, or don't practice anything that you don't feel in your body, or if you don't believe it, it's not worth practicing it. And of course, there's wisdom to that. And I always teach, like, please do what works for you. If practicing a mantra that you don't believe yet is not helpful, don't do it. But actually, for me, interestingly enough, that works for me. Because the way that I think of it is, like I said, it's just like doing reps. So at a gym, if I'm doing reps and I'm trying to build muscle, all I'm doing is I keep lifting that weight. I keep lifting that weight. I keep lifting that weight. I'm not looking at my arms saying, is there muscle there? Is there muscle there? Is there muscle there? It's like, no, I'm doing the reps so that I can create muscle. And that's the same way that I think about it in terms of repeating thoughts, whether I believe them or not. I think the more that I think them, the more that I'm building that muscle. And what I have found is that even if it feels completely out there, like, yeah, right, which I have practiced thoughts like that at the beginning of the year that I committed to that felt totally out there, like that will never happen, right? That's what my brain would say. But I just committed to them. And I found that the more that I repeated it, the more that I practiced it, the more that I wrote it down, the more it started becoming real for me, right? Like if I just was willing to say something that I didn't quite believe yet, or my brain wasn't fully on board with enough, it would start feeling true. And I would start seeing evidence of it being true. And then I would start embodying it. So I think because the way that I look at it is, I don't have to believe it. I'm just doing reps of this because this is something I'm committed to embodying, right? I'm building muscle here with this thought. And for me, that works. I remember that year that I wanted to manifest my first 100K, I practiced the thought, I'm a 100K earner every day. And I committed to the thought, even though the circumstances were not there. I had not built the muscle. I had not built the evidence. It felt like a total, wild dream, like, yeah, right. But I just decided to commit to the thought and put my reps in. And then little by little, and this one wasn't like quick that I suddenly embodied it. It's not like I practiced it for a month and all of a sudden, oh, for sure, I believed it. No, I was committed to practicing it for like a full year or until it manifested. So I just kept going until I started to believe it more and more. And I remember like Q1 of the year, I wasn't in belief of that, but I still wrote it down every day. And then Q2, things started shifting. Things started moving. I started thinking, okay, maybe I'm getting closer. And I just committed to believing it. But by the end of the year, guess what? I was a 100K earner. I was in full belief. It probably took until Q4 for me to actually say, oh my God, I actually believe this thought. Right? So for me, and you have to check in with you if this works for you, I don't have to believe the thought to practice it. So I practice a lot of thoughts that my body is not, feeling energetically aligned with. But the more I practice them, the more that I do feel them in my body. But another way to go, right, if that doesn't resonate with you, is that you can decide to practice the thoughts that are a bit closer to that power thought that you are claiming, but that you believe in a little bit more. So, for example, it's like if we're using the example of weights, right? It's like if you're lifting a pound right now and your power thought feels like 50 pounds, it feels like out there, like you are not in belief around that, or you're not strong enough for that one. You can start with 5 pounds, right? You can move from 1 pound to 5 pounds. So we can do this with thoughts as well. And we call these bridge thoughts, right? So for example, if let's say right now you believe it's really hard to make money, right? You have to really work hard. You have to hustle. You have to grind. It is super hard. It's exhausting. And that is really what you've seen evidence of. It's what you believe, but you want your power thought to be money is easy. And your brain's like, yeah, freaking right. I have all this evidence that it's not. No way. That would just feel nutty to even practice that mantra. What you can do is do the 5-pound version of that, right? If money is easy is the 50-pound version, do the 5-pound version, which is saying something like, instead of practicing money is easy, maybe you just practice money isn't always hard, right? Maybe that's the 5-pound version. Money isn't always hard. Or maybe it's, I'm willing to open up to the idea that money could be easier than I'm making it out to be. And I'm exploring how that could be true, right? So maybe that's the thought that you commit to first and the mantra that you practice. I'm willing to open up to the idea that money could be easier than I'm making it out to be. And I'm exploring how that could be true. Right? And practice that thought over and over and over until you start really embodying it. And then you can take it another 5 pounds of, I'm starting to see more and more evidence of how sometimes money's easy. I'm starting to see more and more evidence of how money is easy. Put your reps in of that thought and just keep moving 5 pounds at a time all throughout the year until you get to the place where your body actually feels the money is easy, right? So that's 2 different ways that you can go with practicing new thoughts or doing mantras, right? You can just decide, I don't have to believe it to say it. I'm just going to put my reps in and I'm just going to commit to it. Or you can say, I'm going to go the other route and I'm going to do 5 pounds at a time, right? The 5-pound version of that thought. I'm moving towards it little by little and working my way towards that belief. But I'm only going to practice what feels true in my body. So you get to decide, right? There's no like right or wrong way to do thought work. But another reason I wanted to do this episode is because I think it's easy to underestimate the power of doing this work. And I know a lot of us in here are coaches, and we learn a lot of different ways to shift our consciousness, to heal, to work with misbeliefs, to work with trauma, to work with the nervous system. And all of it is so valid and valuable. And I think it's so helpful to have a massive tool belt of practices that help us shift and help us move forward and evolve and grow and manifest. And let's not forget the power of some of the simple things that really make a difference on top of all of that. And I have to say, I don't know of anything that's moved the needle forward more for me in terms of money, in terms of pretty much every transformation I've had, right? Business, money, my relationships. I don't know of anything that's moved the needle forward more than doing thought work, right? There's probably things equal, but thought work is up there. It has changed my life, right? Because what we believe and what we perceive is like what we see evidence of the world. It's the lens that we look through, and it's so powerful. And sometimes I think we tend to forget that like the simple things are so powerful, right? So if you just did this year, it would change your life. And I know a lot of us in the beginning of the year, we think about like habits that we want to create and actions we want to take and what we want to stop doing. We think about it in terms of actions, but actions are always stemmed from thoughts. So that's why I'm a big fan of course, you can tend the behavioral changes that you want to make, but also don't neglect like the thought work, right? And the mindset piece. And what is the mindset aligned with that? What is the mindset aligned with the person that I want to become? All right. So with that, I want to give you some of my favorite thoughts that I have practiced through the years that I continue to practice, right? I actually write down 3 thoughts every day three mantras that I'm believing for the day. And they're not always the same. Sometimes I go through cycles where it's the exact same thing for an entire year. Sometimes it shifts a little bit, but it's kind of like I'm intending on moving towards this one goal. And I look at what thoughts are going to align with that. So here are some of my favorite thoughts that I have practiced through the years. And you can decide for your New Year's mantras, your New Year's power thoughts. You can decide if you want to grab a handful of them that you're going to commit to practicing, or if you just want to like go with one powerful thought that's going to change everything for you. That also works. Okay, some of my favorite thoughts. Check in with yourself. See how these feel for you. Also, as I'm saying this, think about, do I want this to be my reality? Because remember, thoughts create things. If you want this reality, it has to start in mind first. Okay, here it is. Number one, I know how to create money. Such a powerful thought. You've probably heard me say it on the podcast because this is one of my favorite thoughts to introduce to clients. I know how to create money. When we know how to create money, it creates such a confidence. It creates such a sense of safety for us. And it's not a thought that a lot of us think, right? I think a lot of us have been brought up to believe that we're lucky or money comes from things outside of us and it can be a fluke and who knows, and it's not in our control, right? And all of those thoughts feel really bad. It can create a lot of fear. It can create a lot of insecurity. So grounding yourself in this thought, I know how to create money, even if you don't believe it yet, can be so powerful. And I've seen the effects of this, not only in my life, but in my clients' lives as they've practiced this thought. Game changer. Okay, another fun one is my business is booming. I love this thought. This is one that I love to think because it just feels so good. My business is booming. Even if it's not booming yet, just practice thinking it and see what happens. And like pretend like you're the person that your business is booming. If I did believe that, how would I show up today? If my business was booming, who would I be today, right? Another one of my favorites, thank you, Mike Dooley, for this one, is thank God I'm rich. That's such a powerful thought to practice when, for me, I get an unexpected bill, something comes up that I, was more than I had thought, or if it just feels like there's more outflow in that moment and it feels a little like, I go to thank God I'm rich. Thank God I'm rich, right? And it creates this sense of like, this is no big deal. Okay, here's another one that I love. I love money and money loves me. That's about cultivating a really special relationship with money. I love money and money loves me, right? We hear a lot of people say, I hate money. And that's one of the most toxic thoughts you can hold if you want to manifest money, because money doesn't want to be in the hands of someone who hates it, right? So I love money and money loves me. And I want to have a little caveat with this one, which is just because you love money, it doesn't mean that you don't love other things. What you're not saying, I love money above all else. You're saying, no, money is a resource in my life that I love having. It's fun. It's playful. I get to express myself using it. I get to be generous with it. I love it and it loves me, right? So just because you love it does not mean that you don't love other things too. You can love all the things, right? You can love being a responsible human being. You can love over-delivering to your clients, right? It doesn't mean I love money more than other things. It's like, no, I love it and money loves me. Okay. Money is abundant. This is a good one. Also, I think another one is money is infinite. So this is a really great one to practice if you have this thought that like, if you charge for your services or if you receive money from someone else, it's taking it away from them. No, money is abundant, right? So the way that I like to think of it is the more I let myself receive and the more I let myself step into abundance, the more abundant everyone becomes, right? So money is this resource that we all have access to. There is an infinite amount. It's always growing all of the time. Every single day, there is money being printed. It's infinite. me charging for my services only allows me to spread more abundance out into the world, right? So that's another one of my favorite thoughts is the more I allow myself to have, the more everyone around me has. And I practiced that thought a lot. And I started seeing evidence of how it's true, like how I could start hiring people, paying people better, giving more generous gifts, being able to support different things, right? Be able to give to my niece and nephew and be able to gift them, an auntie and uncle trip every year. Like, how is it that actually the more money I let myself have, the more abundance I can spread all over, the more generous that I can be, right? So it's like everyone wins when I, as a heart-centered entrepreneur and person, allow myself to receive money, right? Good mantra to practice. Okay, money. Oh, this is another one of my favorites that I just decided to declare. And it's money isn't an area of my life I worry about anymore. And I would always claim that. I'd be like, there's other things that I might worry about, but money is just not a problem anymore. I've just claimed it. I decided money's something I don't worry about anymore. I just don't have money drama anymore. Like, claim that, guys. It makes such a difference. I don't have money drama anymore. It's not an area of my life that I worry about or I'm concerned about. Like, I'm just good with that area, right? Claim that. Another one that I practiced, this one I did practice for a full year. It was a power thought that I wrote down every single day was I'm a 100K earner. And can I tell you that felt so unrealistic when I started writing it down, but I claimed it and I decided that's what I was going for. And I decided to be it and to practice it and take action from it and to ask myself, how would a 100K earner show up today in my business? And that is how it unfolded. Another one of my favorite thoughts is my clients are having amazing success, right? I love that thought. I love manifesting success for my clients. And I practice, oh my gosh, my clients are having amazing success. And thoughts become things. It's so true. Like, you'll start seeing evidence of it. Another one that I practice kind of in line with that one that I think is really fun. I started practicing this back when I was like really not a confident coach yet. It was like I was just starting out. And I started practicing this thought, I'm really good at what I do, right? And I would practice it in many areas. So like in coaching, I'm really good at what I do. I'm really good at showing up and coaching my clients. And then once I started fully embodying that, then I would start practicing that thought in other areas. I'm really good at what I do for launches. I'm really good at what I do in terms of messaging. I'm really good at what I do in emails, right? Like selling, right? So I would practice that in the different areas that I wanted to get better at. I'm really good at what I do. So actually, that's one that I write down a lot because it just feels really good to me. Okay, couple of others that I think are really super powerful. These are ones that I practice often now is I am happy. The thought, I am happy. That is one that I often write down. Like I said, I write down 3 thoughts a day. One of them is oftentimes I am happy because our brain unmanaged wants to create problems, even when there are not problems to be solved, right? Like, our brain is always just looking for the next thing. That's how brains work. So I like to practice thoughts that bring me back to content and remind me I am happy. And it's so wild because the more that I practice that thought, the more it's like, that is my reality. And I notice that when I stop practicing it, sometimes things start feeling unaligned. I feel off and I'm like, okay, I got to come back to this thought. I am happy. And I just write that down and I start thinking about how it's true. Another one is, I'm fulfilled, kind of similar. I love this thought, I am fulfilled, especially whenever I start feeling overwhelmed in my business, I'll start practicing I am fulfilled. And it really helps kind of bring me back to my purpose. And it helps me calm down, right? I don't know, it works. So that's another one of my faves. Another one is I really like my life. Practice that thought and watch what happens in your life. I really like my life. Another one in line with that is I am living the life of my dreams, right? It's probably true. You probably, I don't know, not everyone, right? Maybe not yet, but for many of you, the life that you're living now is probably what yourself 15 years ago would only dream of. I know that's the case for me. I couldn't have even dreamed of it. So practicing and reminding yourself, I am living the life of my dreams. It's only going to allow you to manifest more and more of that because you are really settled in it. Okay. So those are a couple of my faves. And of course, there are so many. So if you want to, you can just Google powerful money powerful money mantras, powerful business mantras, powerful life mantras, powerful relationship mantras, right? Because you don't just have to practice these in business and money. Of course, you can practice them in life, whatever it is you're working on. It's going to start with your consciousness, with your thought. Okay. So the question is then, how do you practice these? And again, like I said, repetition is great. So just ask yourself how you learn best. How do you tend to take information in best? I do it through writing. Whenever I write something down, maybe it's because I'm more of a visual person. I feel like it locks it in. So that's why I tend to write mine every day. But for some of you, it's actually saying it in your head all throughout the day, right? And for some of you, it's seeing it. So maybe it's like it pops up on your screen. Maybe you get an app, the I Am app, or you just put it on an alarm every day on your phone so that the thought pops up. And maybe the more that it pops up, you can practice it and that will be helpful. It'll be a great reminder. Another way that you could do it is to have it written out, right? Have it on your vision board, have it next to your computer, put it as your screensaver. A lot of people actually like to record their own voice saying it and then listen to it at night or in the morning, and hearing themselves or hearing the thoughts has been really helpful for them. So see what works for you. Practice different ways, but be robotic about it, right? Really commit to it. Don't underestimate the power of this. It really works. And here's the thing that I will also mention is, don't look for evidence of it being true. Don't say, oh my gosh, I've been practicing this for a month and it hasn't happened yet, so it's not working. That's not how it works, right? We don't build massive muscles overnight all the time. So you have to be willing. Like I said, I commit to these things for like a year. I give myself a lot of space. And I mean, I'm willing to go beyond a year, but I love the idea of like, oh, this is what I'm going to just like embody this whole year. So with that, pick your power thoughts for the year. I'm so excited for you, and practice them. I would love to hear what they are, whether you picked one that I offered or you find another one that really resonates with you. I totally want to hear about it. So if you post it on Instagram, definitely tag me, like I'll repost it. If you leave a podcast review, put it in there. Tell me what your power thought is. And on top of that, I would love a review from you. I love reading the reviews and hearing what kind of shifts happen as an effect of this work. So please do that. Put your power thought in there. I would love to read it, or send it to me on Instagram. I really genuinely love connecting with my entire community. So please stay connected and create some powerful thoughts for the year. I'm so excited for you, as I always am, because I just love you. And I know the power of this freaking work, and it makes me ecstatic. So like anyone who's on the receiving end of listening to this, I'm just like, I am thrilled for you because this work works. So keep it up and stay tuned. It's going to be an amazing year, and I'm excited for it. All right. I will talk to you next week. Hey, thanks for listening. I hope this episode is something that you'll be able to add to your manifestation toolbox to come back to when you need a little extra motivation. If you like what you've heard today and want to take it deeper, you've got to come check out my signature coaching program, the Money Manifestation Movement. It's the place where you'll not only learn manifestation, but you'll begin to live it alongside me and an amazing community of like-minded entrepreneurs doing this work together. Head on over to jamieberman.com to learn more.